Hello, my name is Massimiliano Tabusi, and this is the contribution of the group of geographers of UniStraSi and the UniStraSi GeoLab to this Congress and to this seminar organized by the University for Foreigners in Siena, Università per Stranieri di Siena. We apologize for not being able to be physically present in Siena due to the other institutional commitments, unfortunately. But we are pleased to speak on the topic of the university and its role in the shaping of territory and contributing to the identity of a city, both from a theoretical point of view and a specific case of our university. We want to thank our colleague, Professor Carla Bagna, for organizing the meeting and for the invitation. As geographers, we are interested in the transformation of urban spaces and the role of university in these changes. This speech will be structured as follows. Andrea Simone will focus mainly on the urban scale of Siena, on its accessibility and on the student dimension. The student population, in fact, has peculiar characteristics, especially in the university cities, for which a large part and portion of the students is not originally from the city but comes there to undertake the higher education path. Daniele Mezzapelle will broaden the scale of analysis by extending it to the Italian dimension and to the emptiness and fullness that concern the origins of the students towards the University for Foreigners in Siena. The name is Università per Stranieri di Siena, or UniStraSi, as we call it. In fact, is a ramified city. Our university is a sort of ramified city with connections with various parts of the peninsula and other states of the world, obviously, to which, however, this specific analysis do not extend. This means a wealth of international and regional cultures, dialects, personal stories that project other territories into the one of Siena. In conclusion, I will return to briefly reflect with you on the relationship between university and territory, with some ideas on the possible perspectives in the direction of a public university service open to the territory and attentive to social connections. Now, I am pleased to give the floor to Professor Andrea Simone from the GeoLab. Thank you.
So, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Getting by Siena. Why? How you get to a place directly affects how well you get by that place, how you thrive in it. The easier, faster, and cheaper the journey, the greater the opportunities for the city's growth and the well-being of those who live, work, and study there. So we'll delve into this through the perspective of a specific place, the University for Foreigners of Siena. Accessibility, whether to a city or a university campus, is one of the most critical special qualities of any location. It determines how easily a place can be reached, traversed, frequented, or inhabited. Various factors influence accessibility. One is the travel distance. The longer the distance you have to travel, the less accessible a place becomes. But distance isn't just about kilometers, it's also about cost. So even if two places are the same distance apart, the one with higher transportation costs will feel less accessible. Over time, accessibility typically improves due to infrastructure developments. Now, when people come to Siena, whether it's to study, work, or just visit, they are often struck by how remote the city feels from major road and rail routes. The journey to Siena, whether by car, train, or other means, is long and winding. It's far from both the A1 highway and the Aurelia, which are the two main routes running through Tuscany from north to south, Siena is also quite far from the high-speed train line that connects Florence to Rome and the medium-speed line connecting Pisa to Grosseto. Compared to other major cities in Tuscany, Siena is undeniably less accessible. What's ironic about this is that in medieval times, Siena built its power by controlling one of the major communication routes of the era, the Via Cassia. Today, however, the route is of much less importance. Compared to the rest of the city, the main campus of the University for Foreigners of Siena enjoys better accessibility. This is largely due to its location outside the historic city center, sparing it from the traffic and mobility restrictions that affect the central area. Additionally, the campus is conveniently situated near the train station and close to several key hubs for public and private bus transportation. This makes the university easier to access than many other parts of Siena, particularly for students, staff, and visitors coming from outside the city. Therefore, the accessibility of the University for Foreigners of Siena shapes geographies that only partially overlap with those of the city itself. It creates, for example, a different commuting area from that of the city center, identifying new residential areas for students and staff. As a quaternary service institution, the university also caters to a broader demand than what is found in the immediate surroundings. It's essential to understand how far the University for Foreigners of Siena's potential catchment area extends based on the existing transportation network. So we delved into this field of research by mapping the travel isochrons to the Piazzale Rosselli campus of the University for Foreigners of Siena. An isochron is a very specific geographical object. It belongs to the family of isolines, which represents points on the Earth's surface where a given variable has the same value. In this case, the isochron connects all points from which one can reach a destination, in this case, the university campus, within a certain amount of time using the shortest route and a specific mode of transportation. The isochrons were calculated using the driving model algorithm developed by the Travel Time platform. So specifically, we calculated isochrons for 10, 20, 30, and 40 minutes of walking and cycling distance, as well as isochrons for 30, 60, 120, and 180 minutes of driving and public transport distance. We then compared the different isochrons for each transportation mode and conducted a comparison of the 30 minutes isochrons across all four modes of transport. The results of this analysis are now presented. So this is the map showing the four isochrons at 10, 20, 30, and 40 minutes walking distance from the main campus. As you can see, the historic center of Siena occupies only one quadrant of the map, and it's not even the most central one. In fact, certain parts of the center, like the Porta Pispini area where we are now, fall within the farthest isochron, the 40-minute range. This is a crucial factor for the university to consider in its efforts to facilitate movement and connectivity between its various locations across the town. But the map reveals even more. It highlights a portion of the city outside the walls, particularly onto the north, which, given the walking distance, becomes highly attractive as a residential area for students and staff. This area could become the focus of a targeted investment policy by the regional government to increase the number of public student accommodations, which are currently lacking. It is also a space where there is less risk of conflict with other urban uses, such as short-term tourist rental. A similar picture emerges from the map of the four cycling distance isochrons. Naturally, the area covered extends farther, reaching neighborhoods and peripheral areas in neighboring municipalities. The considerations here build upon those for the walking isochrons and open up new possibilities for mobility and residential planning. The university and the regional offices responsible for student welfare and mobility could take these isochrons into account when rethinking commuting options in the area. This could include expanding the network of bike lanes, for example, or encouraging private initiatives for bicycle parking at strategic locations or for electric bike sharing. This approach could enable a gentle expansion of the city of Siena beyond its compact urban core within the walls, enhancing the potential of the surrounding countryside while maintaining strategic proximity to the center. It would also help reduce demographic pressure in terms of temporary population on central area. Let's now move on to analyzing the isochrones related to travel times using public transportation. Here, public transportation refers to both bus and rail services operating during the university's open hours, so daytime and weekdays. Naturally, we have accounted for longer travel times compared to walking and cycling models. So compared to the previous visualizations, there's a noticeable jump in scale. We are now looking at a commuting area that is primarily regional, but also extends somewhat into neighboring regions like northern Lazio and parts of Umbria. So in general, within the maximum isochrone, 3 hours, we reach the outer edges of Tuscany. However, there are significant gaps. It's a sort of patchy maps. This highlights the spatial inequality in the distribution of public transport services, which tends to favor larger cities while neglecting smaller towns. It also reflects Siena's general lack of accessibility, as we have discussed before. Had we calculated the same isochrones for Florence, for instance, the largest isochrones would easily extend beyond the regional boundaries, connecting the city to major urban centers like Roma, Bologna, and Milano. This comparison underlines the broader regional disparity in transportation, infrastructure, and accessibility. The challenges and the discontinuities we see in the map for public transportation are not as present in the one focused on driving distances by car. Here, there's a greater continuity in the isochrone areas and a relatively larger range, reaching several major cities that are well connected by road arteries. This map tells us a lot about the University for Foreigners of Siena, particularly in relation to staff mobility. It highlights how access to the university is far more fluid by car, which can inform important decisions regarding infrastructure and support services for those commuting by private vehicle. But at the same time, it reflects the broader issues on reliance on private transportation, as the reach of public transportation remains fragmented. The smoother driving connections underscore the contrast between the ease of access for those with cars and the barriers faced by those dependent on public transport. So finally, here we look at the 30 minutes isochrone across different modes of transport. This can be defined as the core commuting area for those traveling to the university campus on a daily basis. We observe that the isochrones stretch along the connecting route between Siena and Florence, with a hub around the Colle Valdelsa area. It also extends along the regional rail lines heading towards Grosseto and Chiusi. This provides a clear visual of the primary commuting network and the key corridors that facilitate access to the university, both by road and rail. Understanding these commuting patterns is essential for improving infrastructure and ensuring the university remains well connected for students, staff, and visitors alike. So in conclusion, the accessibility of the University for Foreigners of Siena is fundamental to its growth and the well-being of its community. The connections, whether through public transportation or private vehicles, significantly influence the commuting areas and the daily mobility of students and staff. However, while car shows a greater continuity and reach, public transportation remains fragmented, revealing notable spatial inequalities. This issue is further complicated by the fact that the geographies of accessibilities for the university campus do not fully overlap with those of the historic city center, which can lead to missed opportunities for both students and local residents. Addressing these disparities is crucial for making Siena more accessible, particularly for those who rely on public transit. Our analysis of isochrones also highlights the potential for strategic investments in cycling infrastructure, public student housing, and improved commuting options. By focusing on these areas, the university can reduce demographic pressure on the historic city center while fostering sustainable growth and affordable housing in the surrounding areas. I now pass the floor to Daniele Mezzapelle for the next part of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Daniele Mezzapelle. Together with Andrea Simone and Massimiliano Tabusi, I am part of the GeoLab, a small geo-cartography lab at the University for Foreigners of Siena, which I call UniStraSi from here on. GeoLab was created with sustainability issues in mind, aiming to show the spatial and interconnected dimensions of ecological transition experiences, which affect nowadays the whole planet. My contribution, titled Where Do You Come From? Shifting Siena, Sizing Italy, focuses on the territorial aspects of students enrolled at UniStraSi. More specifically, by looking at the map of where the students come from, we can analyze the connection between the university and their places of origin, and how this creates special relationships between the city and the surrounding area. Before explaining this and go to the map, it's important to talk about the scale of the study. As a geographer, I want to stress that the scale, which is the size of the area we are looking at, is crucial to understanding any geographic phenomenon. For this reason, I chose to focus on the connection between UniStraSi and the rest of Italy at the national level. Of course, and it is a sort of disclaimer, UniStraSi has students from all over the world and many agreements with global university. But in this case, the map works best when limited to the Italian level, considering some of the geographic distances involved. Number 4, I want to make it clear once more. The map only shows where students live within Italian provinces. That is not level number 3 from a statistical point of view. Thus, it includes foreigners too, but only if they live in Italy and only if they have residence in Italy. In general, the goal of this map is to understand the university's connection with these places of origin. This helps us to see if Siena's territory is being transformed through these connections and vice versa. Last but not least, the data for the following map is updated to 2023. Let's jump to the map. As you can see, the name of the map is the distribution of students based on their Italian province of residence. As I said, it's not level number 3. Data includes all students enrolled in UniStraSi study programs, thus meaning that the data is aggregated. If we go to the map with a zoom, we can see the map as a whole. In general, we can say that we have upper right the legend of the map with all colors that specify the intensity of the phenomenon represented. In particular, we have light green, that means a low number of students, while blue means a high number of students enrolled at UniStraSi. First of all, it's interesting to notice a distance effect. Most students, as you can see, come from provinces in Tuscany regions, in particular Siena, Florence, and Grosseto. Here we have Siena here, Florence here, and Grosseto here. I can also zoom on the map. And nearby province, as well as nearby provinces, both Toscana and Umbria regions or Lazio regions. So first things to observe is the center, is the intensity of the nearby distance in the enrolling students. But as distance increases, we can see that the number of students decreases, and we can see also a new peak. Sorry, a new peak in some southern provinces of Italy, especially in Sicilia regions and in Calabria regions, suggesting that accessibility plays an important role, as Andrea mentioned before. In fact, we can assume that the further provinces rely on air travel, balancing out travel times with closer provinces that use land transport. If we see at Sardinia, according to this hypothesis, we can see that students are from South Sardinia and Cagliari, and North Sardinia with province of Sassari. In both provinces, we have an airport. So our hypothesis can be in some way supported. However, and we can move in this area of the map, we have also some gaps provinces where there are no students. We are in the Alpine regions here and in the northern Apennine regions. So maybe a particular morphology issues can be involved in this kind of analysis. I think that we can also move to disaggregated data of courses, degree courses in the UniStraSi. I will not spend too much time on these maps. First of all, because they are based on disaggregated data, but also for time constraints and completeness of the same data. But I want to point out that the students' regions create a sort of pattern and pattern of gaps and clusters. In fact, our ongoing investigations aim to understand what territorial connection influence the choice of students in study programs. As you can see here, we have many gaps also here, and how to say, a whole phenomenon here, and in this case, almost in this case, we can have a differentiation by the type of degree or master degree courses. So, as I said, I will not spend much time on this kind of data, not so aggregated, and I want to spend a vision of the aggregated map. Why? Because we can appreciate here the phenomenon as a whole. It shows how Siena can be seen at university city of national importance, because you can see we have students enrolled from all Italy, and of course we can also consider Siena a global one, not only at national level. But in this case, in this kind of analysis, we can provide a shift of geographical scale from a local to national level, and we can see how Italy and of course the world, is connected to Siena, with all the changes and all developments that come from this kind of exchange. I mean that in one way you can reach in Siena all the territory, all the relationship with all provinces of Italy. And this is a very important, very crucial to in order to understand social and linguistic phenomenon in Siena. So I jump to the conclusion, saying that according to Walter Kristaller in 1933, the core, a core, and a periphery are relative concept, depending on the type of services and the rank of city we are analyzing in. Does it mean that it's always a matter of context and relationality? While a center could be a center of a closer area, but at the same time, it could be also a periphery of a broader area. So our context and our reference are really so crucial. I think that there is no doubt that Siena, with its shifting scale, can act as both a core and a periphery, shaping the territory and contributing to identify itself as a proper and nice, why not, university city. Very thank for the attention and have a nice day. Bye.
And now, in addition of historical and traditional functions, we can wonder what else can or should the university try to do. I will add just a few brief ideas which try to connect to some questions. Is the university the only structure in relation to students? No, obviously not. Students are citizens, sometimes temporarily resident in a city. The city can do a lot for these citizens, both while they are studying, but also, and this is more innovative perspective, after the period of study. Let's go back to the student as a citizen. Precisely in this perspective, it is very important that the city is active in providing services that are specific to the need of students. Some examples. The greatest cost for students is that of living, obviously. It is important that there is a good quality accommodation at low cost, possibly. And these are well connected to university facilities and the main centers and hub of the city. The municipality rarely offers this type of service directly, the one of the accommodation, I mean, but can support private individuals in making accommodation available. As for connection, the municipality can imagine to strengthen the services during the time and routes that are most used by students. And this is part of the well-being of students and favors their presence in the city. Or, if it works badly, they escape to other university cities. Among the services that university cafeteria is very important, for example, what we mean mensa, where the place where we can eat as a students at low cost rates and fees. And this is both a place of provision of services, this kind of services, and also, and very important, as a place of socialization and aggregation. Obviously, a fundamental service for students' support is that of scholarship grants. which is in Italy not the responsibility of university itself, but of the regional administration. This type of support is not homogeneous in Italy, but fortunately in Tuscany, the level of protection is among the best. We can wonder if non-student citizens can directly use cultural services that university offers. The answer is normally no, or very little. In Italy, it is known that except for laboratories that require special precautions, all citizens could theoretically enter a classroom and follow a lesson. But in reality, this never happens because non-student citizens often consider the university a sort of ivory tower, closed within the city, but very far from citizens. An experiment carried out by an association of teachers and students has demonstrated the possibility of opening lessons to everyone. In 2014, 10 years ago, the initiative mentioned as Uni per Tutti, this initiative created a very simple procedure. Teachers were invited to indicate the title of their lessons and the classroom and the day on which the lesson will take place. A week was proposed for this initiative, and the website of Uni per Tutti invited all citizens to enter and participate in the lessons. The result of this initiative was a success. About 600 professors joined with their classes and their lessons throughout Italy, and university truly opened its door to all citizens. Not to get students, sometimes students are considered as customers, but this time to share and involve everyone, not just who attend the university for study. And this is very important in my opinion. An initiative like this has not only tried to reopen to citizens what they are financing, it also has the possibility to make teachers aware of the potential interest that citizens, not only students, can have in their work. Their relevance in society, for the whole society, is very important also for teachers and members of university. This initiative brings us to the last point I would like to consider. Should the university continue to train only young people? This is the question. The answer could be the so-called continuing education. The university, it is true, today is a place where almost only young students meet. In the future, it is very likely that in the future is very likely that a university can be attended also for older people and even elderly people who want to continue their education or who are interested in the university for their personal culture. The results can be achieved if, in addition to the function it performs, both the university and public institutions work not only for the functions of the university, but also to the perception that citizens have of the university as a tool available not only for students, but as a true cultural infrastructure at the service, first of all, of the city and all citizens also. Initiative like this one, like this meeting, like this Congress, like this session, contribute to achieving this kind of goal. So for that, thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you also for your kind of attention